These are Tomahawk steaks. Hi, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today we're going to be cooking these Tomahawk steaks. So the first thing we're going to do to get these ready is we're going to pull them out of the package, throw them on a cutting board, and we're going to sprinkle them liberally with kosher salt. And the reason we do that is because it's a process called dry brining. And so you've probably heard of wet brining, where you take meat and you place it in salty water so that the salt penetrates into the meat and allows flavor to get deep inside, and also while you're cooking it, it will retain moisture. The process with dry brining is the exact same, except you don't need the extra water. The salt will penetrate into the meat because salt is essentially two tiny particles when you dissolve it in water. And so when you put it on the meat, it'll dissolve in the juice of the meat and penetrate into the meat up to 2 or 3 inches. And for these steaks, that's more than enough, because if we do it on both sides, it'll penetrate all the way through the meat and you'll get a nice salty flavor, and it will retain the moisture that you want throughout the whole cooking process. These are good. So these Tomahawk steaks are essentially bone-in ribeyes. It's got a long bone that extends well beyond the steak itself, and these are pretty thick, which is nice because when we grill these, we're going to get a nice crusty exterior, nice and caramelized with lots of flavor, and a tender red-pink center. So we're cooking 4 Tomahawk steaks today. 2 of them I'm doing with just salt and pepper, and then 2 I'm doing with Montreal steak seasoning, just because I love this seasoning, and it's already got a lot of salt in it, so I'm going to use this essentially to do the dry brining process. One down. Got a little carried away on that guy. Great. Looks pretty tasty. All right. Rock and roll. God bless America. Okay. Today we're going to be doing a reverse sear on these steaks, and what that essentially means is we're going to cook them at a low temperature for a longer period of time, and then when they come up really close to where we want them to be done, we take them, throw them on hot fire so it sears the outside and caramelizes the outside of the meat, so you get that really nice seared flavor. And what we're going to use to impart flavor to the meat today during both the slower, lower temperature cooking and for searing is going to be mesquite wood. Mesquite is a strong flavored wood, but because this cook is going to be shorter, we're going to be using a stronger flavored wood. It's not going to be 12 hours, it'll be maybe an hour or so. So mesquite wood going on the fire. Alright, these steaks that have just been dry brined with salt are ready to get some coarse ground black pepper. So I'm going to sprinkle that on there and throw them on the cooker because the smoker's already up to temperature, and we'll be ready to throw them on as soon as I'm done seasoning. where this is a baby steak. Just in case you were wondering, we were dry brining these steaks for 30 minutes before we went ahead and added some pepper. Okay, so the way we're going to do the reverse sear is this. We're going to take these steaks and put them in the regular cook chamber of the smoker. So we'll get some nice smoke flavor and the temperature will come up gradually so that the whole steak will reach about the same level of doneness. I don't want the outside burned and then layers of brown in the very center to be, the medium rare that I'm looking for. I want the whole thing to be the medium rare I'm looking for, except I want the outside nice and seared. So to do that, on the cook chamber until the internal temperature reaches 125 degrees. At that point, we're going to pull them off and sear them in the firebox. For the low temperature portion of our cook today, we're going to be cooking between 200 and 225 degrees until the internal temperature on these steaks reaches 125 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, we're going to sear them. But it's time to put them on the smoker. It's almost time to start pulling these steaks off and searing them. And one thing that's really important about doing the reverse sear method is that you don't go by a time that it's at a low temperature. So you don't say, oh, I'm going to leave it at 225 for 45 minutes and then I'm going to sear it. What you look at is the temperature of the meat itself. So when it reaches the temperature you're looking for, in our case today it's going to be 125. When it reaches 125, I'm going to pull it off and sear it so I get a nice medium rare throughout all of the middle of the meat and the outside is nice and seared. All right, I got the firebox ready here, and we're going to pull these two. They've hit 125. We're going to sear those up, and these two are just a little bit behind that. So here we go. I'm going to remove this temperature probe, and one benefit of using these Tomahawk steaks is you can use these bones as a handle. So sear number 1 and number 2. So left these on here for maybe 60 seconds. And I'm going to turn this guy, take this guy, turn it. Okay, so right there you see kind of caramelization happening. That's exactly what we want. That's the crusty, delicious bit on the outside of the meat. That's what we want to see. So this guy, I think we're about ready. If you want to look at this, see that is the sear that we're looking for. Okay, we'll pull that guy off, stick it on the cutting board. With this steak, we're not trying to raise the internal temperature anymore. We already reached the internal temperature we wanted on the cooker as we were cooking it slowly at a low temperature. Now we just want a seared outer coating, and then we're going to put it on its side. Try to sear this side here. Sear it all the way around. And very soon we're going to pull it off because we don't need its temperature to raise anymore. Onto the cutting board. So this one I think could be a little bit more caramelized on the outside. And so I'm going to actually stick it back on there just for a few seconds just to get a perfect sear on the outside of the steak. Okay, so this is the one we pulled off. And this is more what I was looking for, a sear like that. So you see it's got a crusty exterior. The inside should be nice and tender, not overcooked. Now that these have been seared, I love to put a little bit of butter on the top of them. I think it just adds some richness and is really delicious. You can do butter and rosemary. I'm just sticking with the butter today. I think that everybody who tries it this way is going to agree butter improves almost anything. Okay, let that start to melt. And then when we slice it, we'll have the butter melted all over the top, and you get a little bit of butter with each bite. All right, ready to pull this steak off. So I'm going to get it. All right, so I'm allowing these flames to actually come up and hit the bottom of the steak because I want a quick sear and I want to get it off as soon as possible because I don't want to overcook the meat. if the temperature is too low where you're trying to sear your steak, you risk overcooking the meat because it takes so long that the temperature in the steak keeps climbing and climbing and makes your meat tough and not very flavorful. Okay, let's check to see how this is doing. Whew. Let's get us on. That looks good. Okay, butter on that guy. Whew. That's toasty.
Oh, that's nice.
That looks good. So I'm gonna check this little guy. Little guy? Don't worry about that.
Do you smell it?
All right, last one ready to come off. So grab this guy and get to searing. Whew. Now, I think this side is well seared, this side just another touch more. See this like deep brownish orange right there? It's really glistening. That's the sear we're looking for. And by doing it this way, we keep the inside from getting overcooked. Come on, melting butter. Who doesn't like melted butter? Thank you for watching Mad Scientist Barbecue. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at Mad Scientist Barbecue. The link is in the description. See you guys later.